What is up, everyone? This is Keith Rice, creator of Legacy's Allure. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy to say that the digital client is finally released, and also Season 2 is finally released. In this video, I want to answer a whole bunch of questions about why the digital client in Season 2 took so long and what the future of the game is, because I want you to know that this is a game worth investing in. So first of all, what was the feedback from players on Season 1? Overall, the feedback was absolutely fantastic, and if you want evidence of that, just go look at the reviews on Board Game Geek and go look on legaciesallure.com. We have testimonials on the front page in that scrolling bar in the middle where you can see comments that people have made. We had dozens of TTS and IRL tournaments and play nights across the country, and of course in the Discord server. I went to some events that had upwards, I think, of 30 people. Shout out to those game stores that were involved. Okay, second question. What was the commercial performance of Season 1? As you might know, we kickstarted the game. The Kickstarter goal was $20,000. We ended up raising roughly $45,000, I believe. And we made the decision, me and Speed Robo, who's kind of always helped me with publishing and distribution, we decided to order 2 times the amount of starter kits that were actually ordered in the Kickstarter. And I'm happy to say that we sold out of all of them. Also, the higher value tiers, so we had like the base tier, which I think was called like the Swordsman tier or something, and then we had Elite Swordsman, Knight, Heavy Knight, Ultra Knight. Those higher level tiers that had the goodies like the metal cards and the neoprene mats, those sold out within months. Those are no longer available. They haven't been available for a very long time. As I said, at some point in the future, we would like to bring back metal cards. So third question, why has it taken so long to release Season 2? And the simple answer is we wanted the official release of Season 2 to coincide with the release of the digital client, but the digital client ended up taking a lot longer than we hoped. So Season 2 was mostly balanced a while ago, like a year and a half ago. Then as the digital client remained in development much longer than we were hoping, we kept tweaking Season 2. And needless to say, I'm extremely proud of Season 2. It is the best Legacy's Allure you will ever play. It is Season 1 was amazing. I don't want to put down Season 1, but this is a huge upgrade over Season 1, and I'm extremely proud of it. This is prime Legacy's Allure. Okay, fourth question. Probably the most serious question I want to answer in this video, and I'm going to get a little bit personal here as well. Why did it take so long to create the digital client? So there are 2 reasons for this. First of all, the programming ended up being a lot more challenging than we had anticipated. The game on the surface seems simple, but once you get into all the exceptions that need to be programmed and just how the objects need to be programmed, those of you with a comp sci background, object-oriented programming for a game like this is very much a requirement. You have to know what you're doing. Also, the networking ended up being way more challenging than I was expecting. This, for me, was a personal point of major frustration. The reason is that, due to wanting to keep costs low, and I'll talk about the cost aspect here more in a moment, but we wanted to use Steam servers. We didn't want to go out and rent, AWS instances and have dedicated servers. But in order to use Steam's networking capabilities, players have to play peer-to-peer. As it turns out, programming peer-to-peer networking to make sure that desyncs don't occur and disconnects don't ruin the match was a huge challenge. Very, very frustrating. Huge shout out though to our current developer, Warben. He cracked the code. I'm sure there's still some bugs in there, but he did a really good job. And we're pretty confident that the game is in a stable state. All right, so that was the first reason that the digital client took longer than we wanted. The second reason, arguably the bigger reason, definitely the more personal reason, is that in 2023, I got divorced. And the financial consequences of that, I'm sad to say, were nothing short of devastating. And I'm not talking about like, oh, poor guy, he lost half, he has to pull back on some projects. No, I got completely raffle stomped in my divorce, and obviously I'm not going to go into a lot of detail in a YouTube video, but I would describe it as nothing short of an enormous fraud. And unfortunately, due to situations or reasons I can't get into, I really can't do anything about it. It just is what it is. Thankfully, I have an amazing family who stepped in to save the day in the biggest way possible, so I wasn't completely financially wiped out. And again, I don't mean wiped out like, oh, I'd have to pull back on Legacy's Allure. I mean wiped out. Like possibly living out of my car if I wanted to stay in the area where my children live. So shout out to my parents, my grandparents. I'm dedicating season 2 to you all. In fact, Tristan, as you know, the hero in the game, Tristan, the very first one you'll be able to play when you unlock a pre-con. Tristan's named after my son. What you might not know though, is that the face model for Tristan is actually my paternal grandfather. So his presence in this game is now even more meaningful. And again, dedicating season 2 to my parents and my grandparents who have passed away. Their legacy lives on even in this game. All that to say, due to the financial situation, I had to lay off my full-time developer in the beginning of 2024, right when we were kind of hoping to get the final bugs wrapped up and get the game released. I had to lay him off. There for a while, I had no developer. Then fortunately, Warben, a gentleman in our Discord server who was playing a little bit at the time, just stepped up in a major way and basically said, hey, I'll learn Game Maker, I'll learn Game Maker language, and he did it while being a full-time college student. So he worked part-time for the past year and a half and helped us cross the finish line. He figured out networking, he rewrote a whole bunch of the code related to how the objects work to reduce bugs. I could talk about Warben at length. So Warben, if you're watching, man, you stepped up and you saved the day. Thank you so much. And he worked at a very reasonable rate. So I'm extremely appreciative to Warben. Okay, 5th question. What are your future plans for the game? So I'll divide this up into a long-term outlook and a short-term outlook. Long-term, as long as this game has an active player base, and I mean even in the single digits, I don't care how small it is, as long as there is a handful of people out there who call Legacy's Allure their game and want to invest in it and want to play it and want to be good at it, I'm going to be developing the game. This game is a passion project. I consider it one of the coolest things I've ever done in my life, and I created it because it's the game I want to exist. And also I just created it as a homage to my family. As some of you know, some of the heroes are named after my children. I want to create more heroes that are named after my other children eventually. Two of the heroes, the models, are based off of people in my family. Yeah, it's just a homage to my family. It's serves that need or that desire in my life as well. So even though this game is never going to take over the world, it's not going to be the next Magic the Gathering or whatever, I'm still going to continue it. In the short term, I've released the client. If you go into the Discord right at this moment, there aren't 1,000 people filling all the rooms playing. That's because I Due to my financial constraints and also time constraints, because I have a full-time job, I run another business, and I have several children. I don't have a lot of time. I don't have a lot of money. We're going to take more of a piecemeal approach to marketing. So we have a lot of marketing plans for the coming weeks, the coming months, but it's going to be more of a trickle effect. And that's just, again, because of limitations in time and money. But we are going to market this game, and I'm going to take that seriously. Again, if you want to help, just tell your friends, leave a Steam review, join the Discord, subscribe to the YouTube channel, whatever you want to do to help. It's very much appreciated. Sixth question, will we see a new faction soon? Unless something goes majorly awry, financially again, or whatever, you will see a new faction in the first half of next year, pretty much regardless of how many players start playing the game. I'm just gonna release it. The art, thankfully, was finished before my financial situation became awful, and so that's taken care of. The cards are mostly balanced, but we still need to do a little bit more play testing. This faction, though, is super cool. It might be the most thematic and most fun faction we've released yet. So if you like fighting with big, gnarly, beastie creatures, this faction is going to be for you. Seventh question, how significantly has the game changed between Season 1 and Season 2? So I'm going to just briefly cover what the most significant changes in terms of design theory and overall card balance. In Season 1, I want to say a few months after we released the product, after the Kickstarter was over and we were holding tournaments and whatnot, it became apparent that really wide armies were I'm talking like 15, 16, 17, even 18 unit armies were generally preferable. Like there was very rarely a disadvantage to having such a large number of actions. So the game was very action economy based, and I thought that made, it's not that I don't like that kind of play style. I don't mind if it exists in the game. I do want wide armies to be viable. It's just it basically dominated the competitive meta, and so everyone was just trying to maximize the number of actions they had on the board. And so in Season 2, we decided to do a couple things to remedy that. First of all, we made 2 gold units and 3 gold units a lot weaker. And then we also made some mid, but also most high gold cost units better. So examples of that would be like Archangel and Crag Behemoth are now better on the higher end, whereas on the lower end, units like Spike Collar Hound, Glade Hawk, Wisp, all those 2 gold units were nerfed substantially. And so what we've seen in playtesting now is that the sweet spot is more like 12 to 15 units, which is more what I wanted, what I intended. And then in this new faction we're going to release, that I'm referring to, that involves thematically big units, we're trying to make it viable so you could even have 8, 9, 10 unit armies. We want that to be just as viable in the game as possibly having a wider army. So from a design theory perspective, that's the most significant change between Season 1 and Season 2. If you want to see all of the changes that were made in the game, though, I will link to the Season 2 changes page in the description. We modified over half of the cards in Season 1, over half. So that brings me into the next question. Will a Season 2 update pack be sold for the physical version of the game? And the answer is no, for 3 reasons. First of all, our distributor, Speed Robo Games, wants to keep our product offerings very simple. I totally understand that. I also like it. Simpler is better. Second, and this ties in what I just said, it's kind of silly to do an update pack when over half of the cards in the game have been changed. And then that brings me into the third point. Compared to other card-based games, including expandable card games, Legacy's Allure just isn't that expensive. And you know, you can have a collection of the entirety of Season 2, so you can make any competitive kingdom imaginable for only $99. That gives you all content, like 4 copies, I think, of every single, somewhere between 2 and 4 copies of every single card in the game, which, if you're not familiar with this game, it's pretty rare to have more than 2 copies of a card. Sometimes you might with a lower gold unit. Maybe you might even have 3, but you know, there's no situation in which you would want to spam 12 of the same thing. So having 2 or 3 of every single card in the game is enough to make a truly competitively viable kingdom. We're truly not trying to gatekeep anything at all in that tier, which is called the Knight tier. All right, so 9th question. Will you continue hosting tournaments? Yes, we will host them in the Discord, and you simply need to join the Discord to learn about them. I would like to have in-person tournaments again. Again, I'm pretty limited by my time right now, so this might be something where if you want to get involved in the game and you want to take the game to your LGS and ask if you can host a tournament or something, that'd be really cool. We'd love that. A lot of people did that in their LGSs in Season 1, and we hope that continues in Season 2. And I do hope that this game does grow to the point where we do see an in-person tournament network eventually. That'd be super cool. That would be my dream. But yeah, right now, I personally only have the bandwidth to focus on tournaments in the Discord, and the community will have to be the ones that kind of spearhead physical tournaments at their LGS. Do you ever have plans for solo play? I was asked this recently, and I know that this is a lot of card games have been trying to implement this. Basically, on tabletop for the physical version, I don't know how to create an AI that both maintains the feel of the game as I want it and isn't insanely complicated. So far, all of my efforts to develop that have failed. I haven't spent a lot of time on it because it's not really my priority. This is meant to be a head-to-head game. All right, lastly, how can I help the game? Again, if you could leave a Steam review after you play it, that would be fantastic, very much appreciated. If you'd be willing to buy the digital or physical product, that is hugely helpful to support the game. That will go directly to development costs. That's the only place that money in this game goes, is just making the game better. And we do want to improve the client in many ways. So additional income there would be fantastic. Like I said earlier, if you want to spearhead some kind of local tournament at your LGS, that'd be super cool. And just in general, tell your friends. Tell your friends about the game so we can get more players in the game. Final thanks before I get into beating the bot. I want to say thank you to my playtesters. You have stuck around for a really long time, even after you became aware of my financial situation. And you just love the game so much, you love the community we had built so much that you stuck with it. And I'm forever grateful for that. And my word to you is I really want this game to be better and better. And I want you to be so pleased that you were a part of it.